I kind of like how human that is.
Goku! 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 Dad! Goku!
It's up to you, Kakarot. Don't you fail.
Alright guys, we're back with some more Dokkan content. So much is going on Global right now. The 9th anniversary is still technically going on. TEQ LR UI Goku just dropped. We managed to pull him within 300 stones. We're going to try him out at 55% because we only pulled the one level 1 links. So this is going to be as good as he gets at his bare minimum. The friend one we're using is actually rainbowed, so you're going to see a massive contrast between 55% and rainbowed. So I guess that's something. And also, seeing those entrance animations, so old. We're actually starting off on a pretty solid rotation for him links-wise. We're only missing Over and a Flash, which is key, and Kamehameha, which is plus 5% on Super. Linked up with Easy SSBE. So we are starting with a term of 567k attack stat, 247k defense. We're also getting a 24 key super to start with, just like that. And that is mainly because his entrance animation and his starter turn attack and defense and key. We are starting with a dodge, which is very nice. And we're starting with a 7.38 million attack stat. Now, considering he has a 70% chance to crit built in, I'm completely fine with that. And built-in additionals, whether he dodges, which is guaranteed additional, which he just did there with 4.8, that also has a 70% chance to crit, so I don't mind that he isn't doing like 12, 15 plus million to start with before transforming. And he also has a 70% chance to additional super as long as he's the second or third attacker in a turn. So you can either take the risk and put him in slot 1, which isn't really too bad of an idea, considering how much defensive versatility and capability he does have with dodge, damage reduction, and guard. Or you can put him as a second or third attacker in a turn and have a 70% chance to do so. So, it's whether you want to take that risk for the reward, but even so, a 70% chance of an additional super just built in. 10 million. Man said he's got just over 2 million more attack stat than mine. Damn, crazy. But off his entrance animation, with his entrance buff, Goku does have key plus 4, attack and defense plus 77% for 7 turns, which, even though the fights are a little bit on the longer side with Red Zone Kid Buu and now Supreme Magnificent Battle, which don't forget we do have a new edition of that currently out on Global as well, along with literally just getting it for the first time from the 9th anniversary. I said it's all systems go on Global right now. There aren't too many fights where TEQ UI is going to lose that key plus 4 and attack and defense plus 77%. Just because there aren't too many fights that exceed 7 turns. There might be a couple literally you go over by like a turn or two, which is fine. But there aren't too many turns, especially with the type of teams TEQ LR UI is going to be on and the type of damage he's doing, other units are doing. Like, because he goes on some of the strongest and best teams in the game. So as I said, there aren't going to be too many runs you do where you probably lose out on that 7-turn buff because of how much damage units around him and him himself are doing. And he does gain an additional attack and defense plus 77% for 4 turns, which you'll definitely lose as long as there's a Universe Survival Saga category ally on the team upon Goku's entry, which of course we have almost a full team of Universe Survival Saga units. We have Easy SSBE, Friend TEQ LR UI, AGL UI, Blue Boys. That's 4 units. We could easily add more with Strength UI, MVP 17. And there's going to be more with the EZAs coming as well soon. TEQ LR Jiren, the Universe 7 units. Well, Universe 7, the Universe 7 unit, and also Golden Frieza in 17. That's 3 more. AGL LR Jiren, Topo, that's another 2. As I said, when TEQ LR UI Goku was dropping, I forgot you lock. That's a pain. That's fine. We'll just do this instead. So he has a 70% chance to additional super rather than guaranteed this turn, which I'm okay with. But as I was saying, Reps has made a massive comeback purely from EZAs alone. Like literally the units I just said, and TEQ LR UI Goku ties all of these units together. Reps has only had 2 new units drop within the last 2 years, and TOP Androids was the other one. You could put them on the team, but they literally have been pushed off their own category because of these EZAs, because of TEQ LR UI. And Universe Survival Saga has made a comeback as well with all of these EZAs as well, including, as I said, Dokkan Fest Topo, EZA Jiren, the LR AGL Jiren. The EZAs are just that good. Along with the other categories, of course, Goku can go on as well, which are some of the best in the game. Like, for example, superheroes being like one of the biggest ones. We've already mentioned Universe Survival Saga, Reps. There's also Pure Saiyans, which is forever growing. There's also Bond of Parent. Is he not on Bond of Parent and Child? He's not on Bond of... No, he's not. No, he is on Bond of Parent and Child. I was going to say he has to be on Bond of Parent and Child. That's one that forever grows as well. I mean, as I said, he's on some of the strongest categories in the game. But then in terms of the rest of his kit, of course, as I said, he already does have a 70% chance of performing a critical hit. He plus 7 attack and defense plus 200% at the start of turn. 70% chance to dodge. 15% damage reduction and an extra 35% damage reduction within the same turn before the character receives an attack. So that means on the first attack TEQ LR UI Goku takes, he will have the 15% and the extra 35%, which is 50% damage reduction, along with having a 70% chance to dodge, which is very nice. And then even better if he decides to dodge, if you do slide him in slot 1, that is. If he's in slot 2, slot 3, this of course will automatically happen. That is if he's getting any extra defense from his super attack effects as well. You can bolster him out even more, which he is greatly raising attack by 50% on 18 key and raising defense by 30% for 1 turn, causing Mega Cross damage to the enemy and raising allies defense by 30% for 1 turn on top of that. And then on 12 key, which of course is where the built-in additionals come in, which make them very handy, you'll raise attack by 30%, raise defense by 50% for 1 turn, cause cross damage to the enemy, and raise allies attack by 30%. So if you want to take the risk and slide him in slot 1 to get the guaranteed additional, which there's even more reward attached to it if you do this, which isn't really too bad of an idea with the amount of damage reduction then guard he has, along with the 70% chance to dodge, you can then raise the rest of the turn's defense by 30%, and because you get the guaranteed additional, not only do you do some extra damage, which is also always very nice, always very helpful, you can then raise the other 2 units' attack by 30% for the rest of the turn as well. So, as I said, very high risk? Quite a high risk, high reward situation with the guaranteed additional. Extra damage, 70% chance to crit. Also on top of that, the support he's getting on both 18 and 12 key supers. But once he does get hit, as I said, he will lose his damage reduction. The first attack, you have the full 50. Once he's attacked, he will lose the extra 35% damage reduction he does have. We can now actually transform him, which is very nice as well, which we will do. But once he gets hit, he will lose the 35% damage reduction, but he's fine because that's where his guaranteed guard will then kick in as well. So are you really losing anything? Are you really losing too much? Not really. The SSB is locked in the middle, which isn't really too bad because they do link up very well, but let's pop his active skill, get him transformed, and get his domain out. Honestly, TEQ LR UI Goku probably has some of the coldest shots on his animations in the whole game. Like, I'm a big fan of them. Now we have his domain active. And when his domain is active, superclass enemies and allies will get attack and defense plus 15%. Additional attack plus 15% for characters who belong to Realm of Gods category. So not only will the transformed UI Goku benefit from this, but so will the friend one who won't be able to transform while, of course, yours or the friend one's domain is active. EZA AGL UI, EZA SSBE, EZA AGL UI, Blue Boys. Those Realm of Gods units really benefiting from this domain. And the biggest part of this, and probably one of my favorite, and I believe probably one of the strongest effects of domains ever brought into the game, currently anyway, is superclass enemies and allies can nullify attacks that are guaranteed to hit, making it possible to evade these attacks. I think that is probably one of the strongest, one of the most useful domain actives there is in the whole game. And I love it. And I can't wait to try it out. But TEQ LR UI, while linked up with SSBE, does have a 746k attack stat, 250k defense. We are getting a 24 key, which does mean he has a guaranteed additional coming as well, which considering he starts with key plus 7 right now, off of him transforming. No surprise why we're getting the guaranteed 24 key pretty much. There's the dodge and there's the counter. And how much is he doing on super attack? 9.7 million. 9.7 million, which I think with the amount of crit chance, I'm completely fine with him doing like between 9 and 10. But now that he's transformed, on 12 key, does greatly raise attack and defense by 50% for one turn, disables enemy's guard, causes cloth damage to the enemy. On 18 key, will greatly raise attack and defense by 50% for one turn again, cause mega cloth damage to the enemy, and raises allies attack and defense by 59% for one turn. So not only is he giving more support, but now you don't have to get an additional to raise both the attack and defense of allies for the turn. You literally just do the 18 key and you can raise both. So I do like that. Starts the turn with attack and defense plus 300%. He will get key plus 7 and attack plus... Whoa, did I just see 29 mil for my boy Jeets? That's that domain. Year 6 Easy Age just continuing to eat good. Just continuing to eat good. He does get key plus 7, attack plus 59%, and evades all attacks, and all allies have a chance of evading enemies' attack plus 10% for one turn from the character's entry turn. So you're getting a ton of buffs from his first appearance after transforming, but not only that, more importantly, he will have guaranteed dodge for one turn once you use the domain, once you use the active skill and get him transformed, which is very nice indeed. Especially with his domain effect of having guaranteed dodge and nullifying the guaranteed hit ability. Always comes in handy when a unit can guarantee dodge. And it comes in handy even more so for the next part of his passive, which is he does get key plus 3 up to 12 and a chance of performing a critical hit and a chance of evading enemy's attack plus 20% up to 77% with each attack performed. So he does actually need to build his crit chance and dodge chance up, unlike the base where he just has it flat out. Which, I mean, you can build it up very quickly because you get plus 20% each time. You literally have it more than halfway done off of 2 dodges. Sorry, not 2 dodges. Two additionals performed. But then him having guaranteed dodge for that first turn, even though you do have to build it up, you're guaranteed to not be hit that turn anyway. So it just ends up working out quite well, and it kind of just doesn't really matter that you have to build it up. But you'll build it up in no time. And then he will counter with tremendous power if you do dodge, which we've seen him do, which is very nice. Which, him doing like, I'm assuming with UI Goku getting the extra 5%, we're looking at like probably 10 mil, just over 10 mil. And again, this is at 55%, so it makes sense why. But him not having like a 15, 18, 20 million attack stat like we see a lot of units have isn't really an issue. Because again, you have what will eventually build up to 77% chance to crit, just built in without dupes, without skill orbs. Look at him go, look at him dodge. He also has counters attached to those dodge, that's even more damage, especially because of his domain, while having guaranteed dodge against guaranteed hit units. And those can counter. Yeah, 10.3 mil. So that means with UI Goku, we might be reaching 11 mil, just shy of that. And then, of course, you're doing 10 million attack stats, and then an additional, which is doing 7 to 8 million on an attack stat, with also that 77% chance to crit. So overall, the amount of damage Goku is doing is still on insane lengths while having so much defensive capability. So the fact he isn't doing like 15, 18 plus million, not an issue, because it would be more than makes up with it with the amount of damage he's doing overall, along with having so much crit chance. And my boy Jeets is pulling out astronomical amounts of attack stats right now because of TEQ LR UI's domain. And I'm here for it. AJL UI will do the same, but again, my boy's on top for once, and I'm enjoying seeing him eating good. But even though we are done, we do still have to round out his passive, which is pretty much the same as when he's in base or before he transforms. He does have damage reduction by 20%, so an extra 5%, and an additional damage reduction of 40%, so again an extra 5% on that. Before the character receives an attack, so again that's all of his dodge chance, along with 60% damage reduction on the first initial attack he does take. And again, that's if he gets hit. We saw him dodge a ton there, which means he actually keeps his damage reduction and doesn't get his guard until he takes that first initial attack, which again doesn't even really matter, because once he gets hit after the first attack, that's when the guard will kick in. And then he does get an additional attack plus 91% and a chance of performing a critical hit and a chance of evading enemy's attack plus 20% when HP is 50% or less from the start of turn. So if stuff gets a little bit techie, you will be doing a bit more damage. You have that 77% chance to crit and dodge, which will then go up to 97% chance, which is pretty much almost guaranteed crit and dodge, which is kind of crazy. But that's if things do get a little bit techie, which by the numbers we've been seeing recently with Beast Gohan drop in Supreme Magnificent Battle, if you do get quite unlucky, can happen. And then to round out his passive, which we've already mentioned, he does get a guaranteed additional when ki is 24, which building your ki up to 12 every time he performs an attack, which will literally take you 4 super attacks to do, it's probably going to be very unlikely that TEQ LR UI doesn't get a 24 ki super attack. You'd have to get very unlucky with orbs, just like LR Beast Gohan as well. There's not going to be too many times it doesn't happen. But even at 55%, he's very good. He's offering so much. As I said, even though he might not be doing 15, 18, 20 million attack stats like the Year 6 EZAs, what Beast can get to, and Blue Boys, etc., that built-in crit means he's always doing good raw damage. He has an additional again with that built-in crit as well. So he's doing good overall damage, especially once he transforms and you have the dodge and you counter with them as well. The amount of damage he's doing combined, it's up there with these kind of units. It honestly is. And then he's just providing so much with that domain. As I probably has one of the strongest domain abilities currently in Dokkan by nullifying the guaranteed hit and letting units dodge, including himself. And then not only that as well, the support, the type of units these units are getting. We saw it with SSBE, pretty much a 30 million attack stat, and you're getting that for what, 3-4 turns? Crazy. And you can have his domain ready to go by turn 5, which with the events being a little bit on the longer side is more than okay. But that's at 55% as well. So I'm very impressed. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great rest of your day, and peace.